second part of skill 4 is simplifying algebraic equations. And students forget how to cancel things out and when to cancel things out. So I've included a couple examples of how to simplify. And so basically, on problem number 11, you want to try to think of this as 3 separate problems. And those problems, if you're all multiplying, what you want to do is think of, if you have numbers, treat that separate. If you have variables, treat those all separate, and kind of simplify each one of these separately. So 16/24, these are numbers, so we want to try to reduce. So 8 goes into both of these, so we would get 2/3. Remember your rules of exponents. If we have an x on the top and x squared on the bottom, we'll be left with an x in the denominator, because one of these will cancel with one of these. And then since y doesn't have anything to go with, our final answer would just be 2/3 y. Now number 12, you have to be a little careful. Students want to right away, when they see a problem like this, what they want to do right away is cancel out some x's, cancel out 12 and 10, but that is incorrect. So our first instinct is canceling, and we have to fight that. And basically what you want to see the difference of with number 12 and number 11, notice that in number 11 we have no plus minus signs, and in number 12 we do have some plus minus signs. So in 12, the first thing that you want to do is factor, and then you can cancel out. So I want to remind you how to factor the numerator. We want to look at the factors of -12 that add up to a +4. So run through your head, the factors of -12 are -12 and 1, -6 and 2, -4 and 3. Oh wait, we want to add up to a +4. So if I change these to a -6 and a +2, I will, nope, if I add these to a +6 and a -2, those will add up to 4. Okay. Now on the bottom, we have a 5x minus 10, so we're not going to factor like a trinomial, but we have common factors here, and those common factors are a 5, and if I factor out a 5, I would get 5 times the quantity x minus 2. Now, if I'm multiplying and I have the same factor in the numerator and the denominator, anything over itself is 1, so I can cancel those x minus 1 factor out, and my final answer will be x plus 6 all over 5. So that's a little tricky. When you have trinomials, you want to factor and then simplify. Number 13 is an example of, again, our first instinct might be to cancel these out, cancel out the 36s. We don't want to do that, and again, we can't do that when we have a plus or a minus. So first instincts fight. The first instinct here, what we want to do is try to factor. So x squared minus 36, how do we factor? What are the factors of 36 that add up to nothing? We'd have a +6 and a -6. And again, look, if we don't have a squared, we're going to look to see if we can factor some common terms out. And these both have a 6 that are common. So we'll factor that 6 out. And then the rules are, if there's a factor in the numerator and the denominator, we can simplify that. Again, y, anything over itself is 1. And what are we left with? X minus 6 all over 6. And again, fight it, but this is final answer. You cannot cancel out the 6's. So that's the factoring piece. And the last part about skill 4 is evaluate. And evaluate simply means to plug in the values and find your answer. So if we have an equation like 5x plus 7y, and we're asked to evaluate this when x equals 2, what that means is we simply put the 2 in for x, and we put the 7 in for, we put the y in for 3 in for y, and we get the final answer. Number 15, we put in wherever we see an A, we'll put in a -2. Wherever we see a B, we'll stick in a 10. Punch that right into your calculator just the way it appears. And those are ones on the ACT test that you'll just want to use your calculator and punch in. I've included this last example because on our TIs, we have to be very careful when we plug in negative numbers when we square or we use our powers. So when you put in a -3 and square it, make sure you put in parentheses, and then wherever you see a y, you can plug in 4. Punch this out with me and make sure that you get a -55. So one of the most common mistakes is when we use our calculator, when we have negative values, make sure that you remember to put in your parentheses.